Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Rams is for you and me. Giving back to community. Rams is for you and me. Better for your family. Better service, better price, better value, better choice. Rewarding you for loyalty. Rams is for you and me. Better price and quality.
Flow Broadband and TV is packed with even more value as you get a free Samsung tablet, free installation, and 50% off your bill for 3 months when you sign up now. Yes, a free Samsung tablet. Power all you do at home with up to 100 megabits per second super fast broadband. Plus, stay HD entertained with Flow TV. Stream, share, and do more on your new free tablet, which will also keep you connected on the go with ease. Sign up at a Flow store today. Conditions apply.
Well, hi there, very good morning to you. Time to welcome you to Voices on Win FM 98.9. I'm Clive Backer sitting in for Devon Cornelius. We wish you all the very best wherever you are this morning. Thank you so much to TDC, to Rams Trading and Flow, proud sponsors of Voices. Voices where you have choices. You can call us at 4660989, 6620989, 7620989. Well, today is World Book Copyright Day. World Book and Copyright Day. Yes, that's what's happening today. And there's a global alliance for partnership on media and information literacy called GAP-MIL, which promotes international cooperation to ensure that all citizens have access to media and information competencies. And early this morning, there was a particular discussion that I think you're going to find interesting, looking at the copyright component of World Book and Copyright Day. And the featured speaker, none other than Ms. Jehan Williams, Registrar, Intellectual Property Office, Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communication on St. Kitts. We want to bring that to you, give you a chance to hear that presentation, and then we want to hear from you, get your feedback, your comments, your considerations, all right here on Win FM 90.9. So let's bring that to you right now. Ms. Jehan Williams, Registrar, Intellectual Property Office, Ministry of Justice, Legal Affairs and Communication. Today, of course, celebrated as World Book and Copyright Day, and is all part of the UNESCO MIL Alliance, which is formerly known as the Global Alliance for Partnerships on Media and Information Literacy. GAP-MIL, it's called then. Now it's UNESCO MIL Alliance. Just to clarify that for you. All right, let's get to that presentation now. So do keep it locked to Win FM.
And I want to welcome out of St. Kitts, one of our regional friends, someone that we thank her for her time and being here with us this morning to give us some details as it relates to this particular day and this celebration. Another JW. I'm Jason Williams, and this is Jehan Williams, the JW of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
Welcome, Ms. Williams.
Well, thank you so much. Love talking to JWs. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, right?
Particular pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Before we get into the meat of the action, I was just coming out of the COVID-19 discussion, and if you could just probably, I know you're not in the Ministry of Health and that kind of stuff, but I know you would obviously know what's happening on the ground and what's the mood with our friends there in St. Kitts and Nevis. What's the general feedback and sense of this fight that we have to fight and defeat this COVID-19? What's the general mood right now as it relates to COVID-19 in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Yes, well, in St. Kitts and Nevis, we've actually been fortunate not to have many cases of COVID-19.
Good for you.
I don't think we've passed 30. We are currently working on the vaccine rollout. We are at 30, last time I checked, about 30% of herd immunity, fighting against a lot of, information online relating to the vaccine. A lot of people are not in favor of it or waiting to see what will happen. But generally, we have not had to interface with it much. We haven't had any deaths either here in St. Kitts and Nevis, thank God.
That's amazing.
And so I think all of that kind of contributes to the slow pace of the vaccine rollout and getting to the herd immunity, because I think people feel like, we don't have to worry about it here. So
Indeed.
but that's basically where we are, and having to go through all the protocols like everyone else. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
Glad to hear, because I really didn't hear much about the general feedback and what's happening there in St. Kitts. So thanks for that update. Our situation a little bit dire right now. Our numbers are going up, but we will get past this. Yeah, we will. We
have to.
Have to. So, Ms. Williams, as it relates to your particular role, Registrar Intellectual Property Office, Ministry of Justice, St. Kitts, what's your general day like, and what's your particular portfolio and your particular function in this particular seat that you sit at this point in time?
So at the Intellectual Property Office, we're responsible for registering trademarks, patents, advising persons, or giving information on intellectual property. So the daily activities look like, seeing clients about files or trademarks that they want to register, doing public awareness initiatives, and other things like that to really spread the word about intellectual property in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Indeed, and this is for the Kittitians, this is for citizens, or kind of regional creatives come forward and let's say, register something.
Of course, we see whoever is interested, but right there in Trinidad and Tobago, you have a very active intellectual property office. So shout out to Mr. Reagan Astorali and the rest of the TTIPO. They're very active, and so persons in Trinidad and Tobago could see their office, could go to their office.
Excellent.
I know they have a very active Facebook page. We're very much of a Facebook region and an Instagram region, and they're very active pages. So if people want more information on that, they're the Intellectual Property Office of Trinidad and Tobago. And for everybody else in the region, there is an Intellectual Property Office in every country as well. So if you want to find out more information about intellectual property, copyright, trademarks, patents, whatever the case is, you can just reach out to your local intellectual property office. So we particularly serve the St. Kitts and Nevis public, but of course there is someone like us, our sister organization, in every Caribbean state.
Do you all network in terms of exchanging ideas and thoughts and personnel, and probably, I guess, in a pre-COVID time would have met with other counterparts in the region to have meetings and discussions?
Of course, it's we're very close, a very tight network, because we recognize that the area of intellectual property doesn't really get the attention that it really needs to progress. So we often partner. We've had staff from Trinidad and Tobago come to our office. We've gone there for training and different exchanges as well. And that is really the network. We've built a very strong intellectual property network between the offices. So we do partner a lot. And I know some of them are probably listening. So good morning again to the Trinidad and Tobago Intellectual Property Office. We support each other, and of course, this morning I hopefully will get to mention one of the events that they're doing today.
Of course.
So that persons in Trinidad and Tobago will get, if you want more information about, Trinidad and Tobago's intellectual property framework, they are more than capable of assisting.
Yeah, by all means, you can let us know, because today being a very important day, and I think more so because of the time we find ourselves, this technological age, this time of technological advancement, everything being on a phone, on a screen, that intimate feeling of holding a book, feeling the page, smelling the book, sometimes
Yes.
getting the dust off of the book. World Book and Copyright Day. And of course, copyright, as you rightfully mentioned. So many of us in the Caribbean, we come up with great ideas, great slangs, stuff that is used across the globe. And there's no
Yes.
copyright. Somebody from Japan or somebody from Nebraska could come and run with the word, run with the phrase, and make a money. You could imagine that.
And it's happening because I think sometimes we're very lax about our work, because for us it comes like second nature to be creative and to come up with these slangs and this material, not recognizing that it's property, valuable property, that perhaps somewhere in the world somebody else sees the value and tries to take it as their own. So what we try to promote through intellectual property is an understanding that what you have created is valuable, and as such you need to protect it, and as such it is the basis on which you get to control it and also monetize it as well, and prevent others from doing the same. So today, for World Book and Copyright Day, we're focusing specifically on copyright, which is the legal right that owners or creators who have made original literary, artistic, dramatic, and musical work, they have the right to control their works and to monetize it and to prevent unauthorized use of their works. So we're promoting that today, and of course, specifically focusing on books. We love books, and like you mentioned, the feel of the books and turning the pages. I know some people love the Audible and the Kindle and the other reading apps, but there's still some of us who really prefer the touch and the feel and the smell of the books. But whatever format you use, what we really want to promote is reading and literacy. So that is really the purpose of today, celebrating World Book and Copyright Day. We really want to promote reading because it's in the age of YouTube and all these other audiovisual platforms. We really want to ensure that people don't lose sight of the importance of reading.
Yeah, very important, and I applaud the work you're doing with your team here in the region, and I could only imagine as it extends to the rest of the world, because sad will be the day, JW, the St. Kitts JW. Sad is the day that the book, the concept of a book is irrelevant. I mean, if you look at the studio here, it's surrounded by books. I don't know if you've seen it based on how the camera
Yes,
is panning.
I am.
Books everywhere. You understand? I mean, it's a book. It's something you hold, you feel, you turn. And again, it's somebody's idea, it's somebody's thoughts, their words, their story. It must be protected via copyright.
It's also a history too.
It is.
And one thing that I really want to emphasize first, when we think about books and recording, is that what we write now is what future generations are going to be thinking about us. There's the African proverb that until the lion learns to write, the hunter will always be glorified. So it's really important for us to record our experiences, whether good or bad or indifferent, so that for future generations they can have an idea of what our mindsets were, what our values were. And I think a lot of what we're experiencing now is the absence of a connection to the past, because there weren't many recordings or a lot of us, I'm sure there's a lot of traditional knowledge in Trinidad and Tobago, different things you cook. How do you pass on these recipes? How do people understand the culture and not lose sight of the real culture of the country that they're living in? And writing and recording it in books is one of the ways that we can ensure that our culture stays vibrant and active and present. So it's really important that we recognize a responsibility to write
Indeed.
and a responsibility to record our experiences so that there is that record of what we are going through, particularly now. Can you imagine 10 years from now or 20 years from now telling people about a pandemic? They might not have experienced it in their own life. So we have to write. We have to think about publishing. I'm sure you have stories yourself
Of course.
that are book worthy.
I think as Caribbean people, whether you're as far north, like where you're located there in St. Kitts, or as far south, down here in Trinidad and Tobago, we are storytellers. The way a Caribbean person will say, well, let me tell you something, eh? And boy, it had the other day, and look now, you sit down and it's a story being told, but the reality is so many of us, as you rightfully said, we don't understand the other side of it, where we can now, register this particular story, register this phrase. You could imagine dancehall star back in the 80s, Tiger, who sang a couple of those dancehall classics. I'm sure you remember Tiger. He had his little stint back in the mid-80s to the early 90s. The concept of wheel, when a DJ ball, wheel! Tiger's the man invented that, JW. Tiger was the first man to say wheel, and if Tiger had registered that, he would be making money, I'm sure, up to this day, because everybody and their cousin, from then to now, to pull a song up when a song is big in a party, or on a stage when a singer singing something, they just ball out wheel, and look how that end up resonating not only in the Caribbean but across the world, to wheel up a song, and Tiger's the first man to talk about wheel. You can imagine that? And it's not registered.
Well, that's not necessarily copyright, but it could classify as intellectual property. Not necessarily the idea of wheeling, but just calling it that. The process wheeling, and we would come to know and associate that with Tiger. Then that could possibly classify as a trademark.
Okay.
So that is actually another form of intellectual property, but in terms of copyright, we've seen so many cases where people have sampled people's music, and so many cases of that from time immemorial, sampling people's music without permission. And then, we see sometimes some very big cases and big awards, because if you use somebody's copyright without permission, because of copyright, they have the right to take action against you and stop you from using the particular phrase or whatever type of work it is, or they can be entitled to a portion of the money that you have earned as a result of using that part of somebody else's work. So what we really want to emphasize is the need to see our creative exploits as valuable and worthy of protection. And that's what the intellectual property framework does, to ensure that people can prevent that sort of unauthorized use and earn royalties as a result of that protection.
I'm glad you gave me that distinction there, because as you rightfully said, there is a difference between intellectual property, where if you come up with a phrase or a term or a slang that is commonly used, compared to, let's say, a copyright scenario where it's more or less a more extensive piece of work. It might be, as you rightfully said, probably some kind of a recording or some piece of work.
It more relates to original literary, artistic, dramatic, and musical works.
Indeed.
So when we've created that, so when we've written those books, and when we've written those songs or poetry, or created these apps, or done films, all these different things, if we get to, as the creators, get to control exactly what happens to those works and who can use them, how long they could use them, it's no different than you having a house and somebody just deciding that they want your house. They can't just take your house.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah.
because you have the right and the ownership of it. And if you decide that somebody could stay in your house and they have to pay you a certain amount of rent, then because you're the owner, you're entitled to do that. No different with music or any other work, copyright protected work.
JW.
You get to control how it is used and accessed.
JW, let me ask you this. Is there any, and I'm just asking here because I honestly don't know, is there any kind of charge related to plagiarism for folks who literally copy somebody's work and as you rightfully said, like somebody coming to take your house? I mean, that's a charge because you can't do
Yes.
that. Is there any legal framework to protect folks who literally grab your work and pass it off as theirs?
Absolutely, that is copyright infringement. There is a whole legal framework for that.
What kind of charge? Like
And,
you could get like fine or jail?
It could be both.
Serious?
Because there could be criminal elements of it, there could be civil elements of it that would entitle you to money. So where there are criminal elements, of course, it can result in prison time, depending on the particular legislation of each country. But I do know that there are offenses under the Copyright Act in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as St. Kitts and Nevis, that speak to criminal and civil liability as well. So it's not just, we see it as something simple because, it's just a song, we say those kind of things. But it's somebody's property, and it's no different than if you took up somebody's car or just walked into their house. It is their property, and they can take legal action to protect it and to prevent you from using it as well.
Indeed. Where can folks go for more information? Any kind of workshops happening, any stuff happening online? I know we have to now utilize the technology. We can't really meet face to face. It would be really nice to have this interview with you